Remember that guy who tweeted "Your body, my choice" after the election?
Hey, bitch, we control your bodies. Your body, our choice.
Nick Fuentes? Yeah, that guy. Well, Tucker Carlson just gave him a 2-hour platform, and it turns out the self-proclaimed alpha male who has opinions about women's bodies has never actually lived with a woman. Not once. Not as a roommate, not as a boyfriend, not even as that weird third wheel on a lease who never does the dishes. He's 27 years old. So let's watch Tucker discover this live on air.
I would say that when you say you don't fully understand women, to me, I feel like women are very simple in terms of...
Have you ever lived with one?
No, I haven't lived with them, but I mean, and don't get me wrong, maybe it's difficult, but I feel like they're pretty simple.
I'm sorry, based on what extensive research? I've never lived with a woman, but I feel like they're pretty simple. That's like me saying I've never been to space, but I bet it's pretty easy to land the shuttle. You know, we just point it down, right? This is the authority young men are going to listen to. This guy with 0 field experience who's out there writing women's handbooks. Man, if you think women are simple, you've never asked one where they want to go for dinner. So let's hear more of Nick's totally based on real experience theories.
I disagree. I feel like men are complicated. I feel like women are like, I'm hungry, I'm horny. I feel like men are very complicated.
Really, how?
Because men are masters of the universe. Women are the universe. You know, this is what Spengler says about them. And so I think that men have like a deep connection to things like math and space, and they want to conquer the world.
Of course.
And, you know, things like this. And women, I feel like, are actually very primal and instinctual.
Okay, so men have a deep connection to math and space, according to the movement that's also banning books, defunding education, calling climate scientists liars, and thinks the earth might be flat, depending on which podcast they're listening to that morning. You can't claim men are rational science-based thinkers while your political movement is actually dismantling science. Pick a lane, bro. Either we're logical masters of the universe, or we're conspiracy theorists who think JFK Jr. is coming back. You don't get both. And you're citing Spengler, a philosopher from 1918, to explain modern women?
Men are so
Yes.
squeamish.
Yes.
Women are not at all. They give birth.
Wait, men are squeamish? Which men? Are you squeamish, Nick? Because that sounds like a you problem that you're generalizing to all men. And maybe, if you've ever actually lived with a woman, you know this isn't some universal male trait. This is just you telling on yourself. The dude is making sweeping generalizations about all women based on conversations with his mom. That's the sample size. One woman who is legally obligated to tolerate him. Hit that subscribe button because we're just getting started with Nick Fuentes' guide to subjects he knows absolutely nothing about.
I think that when you talk about your best friend, you're a peer, you're an equal. And I think your best friendships are with other men. And I think that your wife ultimately is subordinate to you. She's your helpmate.
Yeah.
And ultimately, as the man in the marriage and as the father, you have authority, the final say over the household.
Well,
And
of course.
she can give advice. It's not to say I'm not a freak where you say, shut up, woman. I mean, of course, you discuss things with your wife and your wife gives input, but the authority rests with the man.
Of course.
Congratulations, Nick. You've discovered that men generally don't want to beat their wives. What a revelation. Of course, you could make your wife do whatever you want because you're bigger. Brother, if that thought even crosses your mind, you weren't raised right. Why is the 27-year-old virgin giving marriage advice in the first place? That's like getting financial advice from someone who's never had a bank account. Well, I've never seen money, but I feel like you should invest in Beanie Babies.
I would put it very succinctly as men right now are the responsible party, but have no authority. And that doesn't work.
Translation, if women aren't subservient to me, there is no way I can attract them or even interact with them because I'm just a perpetually online hobbit. When you have to keep saying you're in charge, you're probably not.
I see, the way I look at it is like when you look at your favorite TV shows,
Right?
The Sopranos, Breaking Bad, it's like the wife is the villain because it's like the main character, if the wife could just get out of the way, would be running the show.
Oh, I get it. He's getting his marriage philosophies from TV shows, not from real relationships, not from married couples he knows, from fictional characters. And buddy, in both those shows, the main characters destroyed their family. Like literally, these are your role models.
Ayn Rand, I agree with her about this. She said that the wife's role is like hero worship. The guy is the hero. The guy is supposed to be the entrepreneur, the conqueror, whatever. And the woman is really supposed to support the man's goals and be in his world. And I've
That's the
felt that
last
way.
thing.
All right, let's stop right there. This guy knows nothing about Ayn Rand. The main character in Atlas Shrugged, Dagny Taggart, ran a railroad, and when someone told her that she was now the new woman of the family, she said, "And I'm the man." Ayn Rand believed in meritocracy, not hero worship. She'd look at Nick Fuentes and say, "What have you built? What have you earned? Why should anybody worship you?" Tucker actually makes a decent point here.
That's the
Felt that
last
way.
thing successful men need is more power worship, more hero worship, more, you're so great. When you get that at work, you don't want that at home. You become an unbearable asshole. And then you fall prey to what destroys every successful man, which is hubris. Like you mistake yourself for God. You need someone who's not interested in what you do at all, only interested in you. And that's how you become balanced and wise.
And Tucker's right about hubris. Every successful man surrounded by yes men eventually crash. But here's the thing, respect what someone builds without worshiping them for it. That's the balance. But these guys are missing it entirely. Fuentes wants a servant. Tucker wants someone who ignores what he does. The answer is simpler. Find someone who respects your work without treating you like a god. Done. Subscribe for more reality checks on these basement-dwelling alpha males who learned about women from TV shows.
I just feel like we have I don't feel like we have an abundance of affection from women.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like in terms of where the pendulum is at, I feel like the women are very unloving to the men. That's why like they don't cook. Because that's like the best way to express a love for a man. I said this on my show the other night. I'm like, the most beautiful words a woman could say is like, "I made you dinner. I made you cookies."
Here's a wild idea. Maybe get into one relationship before writing a dissertation on what's wrong with the entire gender. Maybe talk to people who don't look and think exactly like you do. Revolutionary concept, I know.
Women are not really providing too much. They expect so much from the men. They want the man to be rich and provide.
Yeah.
They want the man to be fit and a real leader and a real man.
I've seen plenty of relationships where the man is not fit, not rich, can barely string two sentences together, and they found someone to love them. The problem isn't women's standards. The problem is you, Nick.
They also want to split the chores with the man. They want the man to do half the laundry and half the dishes and things like that. And it's like, so what do you do all day? You're on TikTok, you're like doom scrolling and eating Cheetos. Like what actually are you providing in the relationship? So I just feel like in terms of the deficit, it's like women are very emboldened. They're too, I think, assertive, always giving their opinions, always critiquing, always I think that they're very bold right now. And sarcastic. I think that's a big reason why they're not very attractive.
So let me translate what Nick just said. Women expect me to do chores, have opinions, and use sarcasm, and I find that very unattractive. Just say you're not attracted to women. It's 2025. Nobody cares, but don't blame them for your issues. If your partner works full-time, then yes, chores should be split. That's called fairness. And as much as Trump wants us back in the 1950s, a single income can't support a family of four anymore unless you want to live in poverty. So how does that work, Nick? What's your solution?
Well, I mean, honestly, it's the women. The women are extremely liberal. No one talks about that. They're increasingly they do, especially after the last election. There's a 45-point difference between men and women. The men are extremely conservative, increasingly. The women are extremely liberal.
You know what? It is going to be harder for MAGA guys to find women who actually want to date them because smart women don't hate themselves enough to tolerate guys who say things like, "Your body, my choice." Subscribe, join the resistance against weaponized stupidity.
What did you see as like the most important gatekeepers that needed to be overturned, pushed aside in order to do this?
It was the Zionist Jews like Dave Rubin, like Ben Shapiro, like Dennis Prager. It was these the guys that were really controlling the media apparatus that seemed to me to be the biggest impediment.
Let me get this straight. Dave Rubin, Ben Shapiro, and Dennis Prager are controlling the media apparatus? Dave Rubin can barely control his own podcast. Ben Shapiro talks so fast, nobody can understand half of what he says. And Dennis Prager makes YouTube videos for college kids. This is the all-powerful Jewish media cabal? Brother of Jews really controlled everything? You think they'd let you have a platform? You'd be banned faster than you can say persecution complex. But sure, blame these Zionist Jews for why your incel ideology isn't more popular. Definitely not because you're a 27-year-old virgin who pepper sprays women and admires Stalin. Must be the Jews.
What are you doing? These two people are outside my house, filming my house. They're marching around on my sidewalk. They came up to the door. I pushed her down the steps because she's banging on my door, filming my house.
Yeah, that actually happened. This pro-white Christian alpha male pepper sprays this woman and then gets scared and calls 911 because two women are at his door. He's a real tough guy, and this is who Tucker is platforming.
We do need to be exclusive, not inclusive. We do need to be right-wing. We do need to be Christian. We do, on some level, need to be pro-white, not to the exclusion of everybody else, but recognizing that white people have a special heritage here as Americans.
So if one group is pro something, what does that mean for the other groups? It's literally the definition of preferential treatment. The goal should be fairness, not one group above another. And Christian, so let's talk about that, because last I checked, Jesus said, love your neighbor as yourself, not love your neighbor unless they're brown, Jewish, or liberal. Jesus hung out with prostitutes, tax collectors, and outcasts. He fed the poor. He healed the sick for free. And oh yeah, Jesus almost certainly wasn't white. He was a Middle Eastern Jew from Nazareth. Dark skin, dark hair, dark eyes. The white Jesus in your head is probably from some Renaissance painting, not historical reality. So maybe check your Christian values against what Christ actually said before you start calling for pro-white policies.
It's actually funny. It was December 18th. I remember because that's an important date to me.
Why?
And it's Joseph Stalin's birthday.
Oh.
I'm a fan.
You're a fan of Stalin's.
Mm-hmm. Always an admirer, but we don't need to go into that. I guess.
Well, that's okay. Let's get back.
Well,
We'll circle back to that.
It was.
Did Tucker just gloss over the whole Stalin thing? We don't need to go back to it. Yes, we do, Tucker. When your guest says, I'm a fan of Stalin, you don't skip past it like he says he likes pineapple pizza. Joseph Stalin killed millions, and I wanted to hear what he was about to say. He starved Ukraine. He purged his own party. He sent people to gulags for disagreeing with him. And this Christian America First guy thinks that's admirable. Stalin was an atheist who persecuted Christians. But sure, he's your hero. Very consistent, just like all you, Nick. Subscribe. We're exposing this garbage, whether it comes from the left or the right.
Like,
Well,
where are we in 5 years?
Not anywhere good. I'm really concerned, and I'm not one of these doomsday sayers. You know, there's a lot of people that forever, you know, the sky's falling every day. But I really feel like the things that concern me the most, it's the assassination of Charlie Kirk. Seemed like we crossed a Rubicon there.
Is this guy using Charlie Kirk to boost his own career? He hated Kirk, said he wasn't extreme enough, but wouldn't mind inheriting his fans, apparently.
The other thing I'm really worried about is what's happening at these ICE detention centers, where it's happening not far from where I live in Broadview, Illinois, where they set up an ICE detention facility, and the administration is rounding these people up, which I support, but they're doing it in a very provocative way. They're broadcasting it. They're making hype edits on Twitter of like these raids on apartment complexes, which I think are very cool.
So now we're getting to the heart of it. He thinks it's very cool. What's cool about terrorizing family? What's cool about separating parents from kids? What's cool about militarized raids on apartment buildings where American citizens also live? These are human beings, people who came here looking for a better life, just like your ancestors did. So unless you're 100% Native American, your family immigrated here too. But I guess when your family did it, it was different, right?
In order to protect ICE, the administration's putting DHS. Well, now they're protesting the DHS presence, and the administration of the governor of Illinois and the mayor of Chicago are telling Chicago police, don't help ICE. The police versus ICE, the police versus DHS. There's a constitutional question about the federal supremacy, you know, and I see all the ingredients of like a low boil civil conflict, full blown civil war.
Well, there damn well better be protests because all modern dictators were elected at some point. Like, this isn't new. The definition of insanity is watching the exact same playbook that's happened dozens of times throughout history and thinking, but this time it's going to be different. Let's listen to Nick's final solution.
If you're the president, what do you do about that?
I think maybe this is controversial, but they have to crush the other side. If I were Trump, I would say screw 200 National Guard, like arrest the mayor of Chicago, like arrest the governor, shut it down, bring in the troops and say the federal government is supreme. The immigration law is the law of the land. If you're not on board with that, you're going to jail.
Arrest governors, arrest mayors, bring in troops against American citizens. Let me be very clear about this. This is literal authoritarianism. This is what dictators do. Putin does this. Xi does this. Arresting elected officials for policy disagreements? That's not American democracy. Using military force against American citizens on American soil? That violates the Posse Comitatus Act law since 1878. Governors have sovereignty over state matters. It's called federalism. It's in the Constitution. This is exactly how democracies fall. Demonize political opponents, criminalize dissent, use military force against civilians. We've seen this in Germany, in Chile, in countless countries. Bring in the troops means pointing guns at American citizens on American streets. Is that really your Christian vision for America? This isn't law and order. This is fascism. Call it what it is. So there you have it. Tucker Carlson giving airtime to a guy calling for military force against American citizens and crushing political opposition. If this is the future of conservatism, we're in serious trouble. Hit that subscribe button. We're fighting stupidity and authoritarianism on both sides.